How's it going? In this video, I'm going to show you how I turn my musical ideas into actual melodies that I can use on LMMS. There's something I have to tell you. I don't know a lot of music theory and I can barely play a musical instrument. I do know what chords and chord progressions and scales are, but I don't really use them when I'm creating my songs. I just use my intuition. And I do have a guitar, but I've never had proper guitar lessons, so I'm not really that good at it. But still, I always had these musical ideas in my head, and I always wanted to turn them into music. And this is basically how I do it. So, okay, I have a blank project here. I loaded these SF2 player plugin here. I mean, you can use whatever it is that you want. You can use triple oscillator. I just like to use, at the SF2 player and then just use a piano sound because, yeah, it is a good sound, when you're just thinking of the notes that you're gonna use. You can always change the instrument later. That's very easy to do. I'm going to rename this as piano. Oops. Piano. Well, I have a melody that I pre-recorded. It's always a good idea if you are somebody who is into making music, it's always a good idea to record yourself singing the melody that you want, so that you don't forget it later. So yeah, I have this recording here. La 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 la. La 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 la. Yeah, it is a simple melody, I know, but I wouldn't be able to play it on, my PC keyboard. Of course, you can input notes into LMMS by using your PC keyboard. But for me, that's kind of hard, unless it's a very simple melody, it's really hard for me to actually, play the correct notes in the correct rhythm, because, like I said, I'm not good at playing musical instruments. I still want to do that. I still want to learn how to play a musical instrument, and I still want to learn more about music theory. But for the time being, that's what I have to do. Okay. First of all, I have to determine the tempo, right? So it's something la 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 la. I just clap my hands along with the melody so that I can determine the tempo of the song. La 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 la. And then I can turn on the metronome here. So just click this button, and then I can, just use my mouse wheel to change the tempo here. So I don't know. I'm pretty sure that 140 is way too fast, so maybe 120 could be good. Let me see. Maybe a bit slower. Maybe a bit faster. La 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 la. La 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 la. Yeah, that's pretty good. And well, now I can start typing the notes, right? Yeah, I don't have a delay here, but in case you do have a delay, you can click Edit, then Settings, then look for this loudspeaker icon, and check that your buffer size is at the minimum, right? If it is at the maximum, you're gonna have less CPU usage, and this is actually pretty good when you have lots of plugins and effects and VSTs. So sometimes I will leave the buffer size at 4096, because the more complex your songs get, the harder it's going to be on your PC's resources, right? But because here I just have one instrument, and I don't want delay in this case, in this situation, I'm going to leave this at the minimum. But be aware that this consumes more resources. Okay, alright, so I'll leave it at that. I have this piano here. So, as you can see here, I have several segments, but instead of selecting the first segment, I'm going to select the second segment, because then I'm going to have like an empty bar just before my song starts, so I can get ready for tapping the notes. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to play the same note. Instead of playing the different notes like a normal person would, I'm going to play the same note to the rhythm of my melody. So it's something like da 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 da, you know, as if it were some kind of percussion, because then I can change the notes later. Alright, so you can click this button here to record your notes, right? So what this does is it's going to play the song in the background, and then you can record the notes. Because we don't have any other instruments, using this one or this one wouldn't make a difference. But if I have multiple instruments, then you would hear all of those instruments in the background, okay? Alright, so let's get started. So, let me check what this sounds like. You can notice that some of the notes are a bit off, and this is because of the quantization, you know. So here the quantization is set to 1/16 of a note. And this means that any notes that you play that are outside of these squares, you know, they're gonna play later, or sometimes they won't play at all. And there's a way to fix that, and basically I'm going to delete that. You can just, you know, click this list here and then select 1/64. Because then if you play the notes slightly afterwards, they're gonna stay in that place, you know. And then later we can use the quantization to you know, put the notes in the correct places again. I'm going to show you what I mean. Alright, so let me listen to what it sounds like. Yeah, as you can see, the notes aren't 100% perfect, but now at least LMMS is not skipping notes just because, you know, they don't fit snugly into that 1/16 square. Okay, so I'm going to select 1/16 again, and well, I can also change the size of the notes. Yeah, I'm going to click this quantization tool. Just click this big Q here, and then yeah, they're gonna, you know, it's gonna put the notes. It's going to try to fit the notes into these squares. Okay, so let me hear what it sounds like. Yeah, these ones don't sound good, but I can, you know, just I'm pressing Control, and then I'm dragging. Yeah, I think this one should be here. Yeah. Okay, so this is pretty good. I have the rhythm right, okay? I mean, you can always try again and again and again. If it's only like a few notes here and there that are out of the place, you can just, you know, drag them. It's easier to do it that way. But if your whole melody is completely, you know, if all of your notes are totally out of the place, then it would be better to just start over. But yeah, now I have the notes in the correct place. So if this were something like percussion, that would be okay. I could just, you know, add a drum here, and that would be okay. But this is not percussion. I actually want different notes. So the first note, la, 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 la. I don't really know what note it is, but I can use my ears to actually find la, 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 la. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's this note, but to be honest, I really want it one octave up. So I think it says C sharp, yeah. So now I determined the first note, right? So it's basically the same note as this one. La, la. And I just, you know, I just moved it one octave up. Now I have to change the other notes, and you know, you can just drag the notes. So you just click the middle of the note, and then you can drag it. You can drag it across the piano roll. La 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 la. So it's the fourth note. La 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 la. la la. See, so basically little by little I will transform my musical idea into something that I can use, that I can work with on LMMS. La 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 la. La 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 la. So let me check the original melody. La 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 la. La 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 la. Yeah, I think these two, they are actually the same. So there it is. So this is my melody, and now I can actually create a different song on top of it. And I'm going to show that to you. So this is what my final result looks like, at least for now. So the main melody is a guitar now, not a piano anymore. I added a bass, a drum kit. I also added a chord progression. And what I want with this video is to show you that even if you don't know music theory or you cannot play an instrument, if you have a good ear for music, if you can listen to a note and then play the correct note on LMMS or in any other DAW that you might use, and you have a good sense of rhythm, it's totally possible for you to create songs. But anyway, this is what this song sounds like now. I hope this video was helpful. If you have any questions, let me know. Thanks for watching and see you next time.